At the start of any given day, there is mystery available. There is a game waiting for an open heart to say yes. Here I am, I'll play. And if we're smart, we'll listen to the way, and all the misery that held us down, we'll let it fade. Let it be outshined by a simple spark of a life that's waiting to be made. It's waiting to be made. What will you make of this day? What will you keep? What will you change? What will you see? What will you believe? What will you make of your dreams? Will you keep sleeping, or will you awaken and decide what you will make? At the start of any given day, there is history and poetry. There is a play, but you're not in the audience. You are the star. So get out there and say what you will make. What will you make of this day? What will you keep? What will you change? What will you see? What will you believe? What will you make of your dreams? Will you keep sleeping, or will you awaken and decide just what you will make of this day? What will you keep? What will you change? What will you see? And what will you believe? What will you make of your dreams? Will you keep sleeping, or will you awaken and decide what you will make?
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Happy Tuesday. Happy Tuesday. Happy Sunday and Tuesday. We are enjoying an annual theme of living out loud, and I actually love that annual theme. Living out loud, authentic life. There's nothing else that we are doing here yet to achieve. Living out loud. And so February is our Curiosity as a Superpower theme. And today we're going to be talking about inquiring minds want to flow. Inquiring minds want to flow. So we're going to talk about being in the flow. And I'm thinking being in the flow via spiritual curiosity as a practice. So we're going to talk about curiosity all month long, and we're going to find all kinds of ways to be curious. So it is my distinct pleasure to introduce our practitioner of the day, all the way from Canada, our outreach minister, our outreach practitioner, who's going to take us deeper into our Sunday service, our Sunday celebration. Linda Connolly.
Thank you. So let's take that deep breath in as we settle into our chairs, as we settle into our body. Taking a deep breath in, connecting to the moment. to the breath of life that is in each moment. And breathe into the heart so that we connect our mind and our heart. In this place, we open to receive in our hearts. We're open to receive in our curious mind. That is, it is one with that one mind, that infinite mind, that is all knowing, that knows the answers before the question is even asked, that mind that is of infinite knowledge. And that mind is our mind. And so as we seek and ask our questions with our curious mind of always seeking an answer for our deepest growth, our inner expansion. And our mind, this mind of ours is open to receiving the answers, to receiving the guidance, to receiving the message that'll be so beautifully and inspired from Reverend Sharon Dunn-Alberg. That message that she will deliver that will guide us in our spiritual curiosity that so resonates in the heart. And as we open to the receiving the beauty of the music that will be shared with us today. And in this heartfelt gratitude, we give thanks for our production team that make all this possible. For without a production team, this would not flow so easily and gracefully as it does. And we give thanks for each and one of us here that are here now and that will listen via YouTube, that they know that that we are thankful. We are thankful for the unfolding and opening to receiving this message of today. And with this, we give thanks, and so it is. And for our spiritual contemplation, our readings. It seems that man exists for the purpose of self-expression. There appears to be no other reason or excuse for our being. The infinite has already implanted within us an instinctive intuition, which is the spiritual knowledge of good, and our whole growth results from an inner awakening. Dr. Ernest Holmes, Freedom from Stress. There is a greater mind within each which may be called upon. There is nothing too small or too great for this mind. Listen, be receptive, believe absolutely, be convinced. The one with a great purpose in life is always consciously and unconsciously holding this purpose up to the universal influx, thus causing an outpouring of divine wisdom through his or her own individual mind. Dr. Ernest Holmes and Dr. Roger Teal's book, The Life is Joy. This life is joy. Everyone has a purpose in life, a unique gift, or special talent to give to others. And when we blend this unique talent with service to others, we experience the ecstasy and exaltation of our own spirit. Deepak Chopra, The 7 Spiritual Laws of Success. And now please stay tuned for Faith Rivera.
I am a child of this universe. The ocean dances at my feet. The wind plays a melody through my hair. I am loved at every turn. I am kissed by Mother. I am a child of this universe. The sun warms me in its embrace. The stars have a light for me in the sky. I am honored by all life. I am held by Father Time. Every blade of grass, every shaking leaf on the tree, every mountain top sings of the glory of God moving through me, moving through you. Oh. I am a child of this universe. Through my breath, all of life can breathe. I plant the seeds with my every dream. I can love at every turn. Give a kiss to Mother Earth. Yes, I am a child of this universe. I greet the God in each face. I am a channel for peace to flow. Oh, I honor all life. Yes, I'm one with Father Time. To every blade of grass, to every shaking leaf on the tree, to every mountain top, I sing of the glory of God moving through. Moving as you
That's beautiful. I love her. You know, one of these days, we're going to have her live at our center, A Beautiful Soul. I remember her in Oakland Center for Spiritual Living when I attended there, and she would come and just sing the roof off the sanctuary. Beautiful, beautiful artist. And she loves the motherland of my mother's land in Hawaii. So God bless you. Of course, when we listen to these artists when we're on Zoom, we do tithe to them in gratitude for their art. And so thank you very much. We're going to have some more music after this talk. And she too is quite an artist. And I've seen her live, Jessie Powers, at Asilomar, and hope to see her live again. Very, very dynamic. We have great music. Thanks to Ruth Hall, we have great music that she chooses each Sunday. So thank you, Ruth. And thank you for that beautiful prayer, Linda. And today we're talking about curiosity. We're also talking about curiosity, spiritual curiosity, and we're also going to put it all together as spiritual curiosity as a practice. And I've really learned a lot this week in researching curiosity as a spiritual practice. I didn't even really think about spiritual curiosity until I thought about it, and then I put it in to a research pattern and I learned so much. One thing I learned is that curiosity has gotten a bad reputation. You know, curiosity killed the cat. Gee whiz. How about curiosity led Pandora to open a box full of misery? We're not talking about curiosity in that vantage. We're talking about curiosity in the light. We're talking about curiosity as an excellent antidote to uncertainty and fear. An antidote to uncertainty and fear. And last week we talked a lot about fear of the unknown, which is something that all of us humans are hardwired to protect ourselves from the unknown. And we're talking about this month, we're talking about moving from that fear into inquiry, into curiosity, and then into creativity, and then into demonstration of that which we want in our lives. So this is not about curiosity killed the cat. This is about curiosity made our lives so much better. And I believe that we can all cultivate our curiosity and learn things. And do you know that a curious brain is a happy brain? You know, I don't know if any of you are doing Wordle. Have you heard of this game Wordle that quite a few people are doing? You know, it's a New York Times 5-word puzzle every day to figure out what the word is. And sometimes it's easy and you kind of figure it out within 3 or 4 tries. And sometimes it takes quite a while. And sometimes you don't figure it out at all and you lose that day. But what I do know is that exercises our brain. That's a brain exercise. You know, there's a book called Science of a Happy Brain by Jay Kumar, PhD. And this book is about brain science. And do you know that brain science affirms that learning builds neuroplasticity? How about that word? Neuroplasticity, the ability to rewire and fortify the structure and the connections and health of our brain at any age, any age. And so what we're really going to look at today, and what I've enjoyed this week, is curiosity is good for us. Curiosity is like working out, only we're working our brain. And I think that is something I really didn't give a lot of attention to before. I didn't really think of it. You know, what I noticed doing the research is that I form judgments, which helps me with projections, which helps me figure you out before you even open your mouth. From everything I've known from the beginning of time, like I've made up this whole way of being and whole way of thinking, and I look at everything, including you, and decide before you do anything what I think about it. So curiosity doesn't come naturally. Curiosity doesn't come naturally to us. Curiosity is a spiritual practice that we want to be mindful about. Mindfulness is when we give attention to. When we give attention to and we really focus our attention on something, we literally collapse it into an experience. We really have an experience of it. Otherwise, if we're in complacency or preconceived notion, right? If we're there, we are not working our brain at all. And we're living in a limited view, worldview. We're working in a limited view rather than being curious and inquisitive. We're going to talk about the difference between curiosity and inquisitiveness, or maybe not. maybe I'll leave that word to another day when I can say it. Having an inquisitive mindset also provides us with a deeper sense of hope, purpose, meaning in life. So inquisitiveness and curiosity is going to tap into our wisdom. This is amazing if you really think about it. If you really take apart complacency or preconceived notion, if you really take apart our whole way of seeing things, if we take apart our worldview and just be in the question, this is not only good for our health, apparently, but it is going to give us a better understanding of all life, a better understanding of each other, especially if there's a lot of difference between us, a lot of different cultures, different nation, different ethnicity, different everything, different upbringing, different geographic location, just different. So curiosity leads to happiness. Have you thought about that? Curiosity leads to happiness. Now, I'm not saying curiosity leads to comfort. Curiosity doesn't lead to comfort. We have our comfort. We live in our comfort zone. Curiosity is about stepping out of that. And why would we do that? We would do that because we get a broader, expansive worldview. And when we think of curiosity as a spiritual practice, we get more God. Can you believe that? Curiosity gives us more God. Call it whatever you want. Call it spiritual evolution. Call it expansive mind. Call it bigger heart, heart opening. Call it abundance. Call it whatever you want, but it is expansive. And curiosity makes the cat live a bigger life. A life rooted in spiritual companionship. Spiritual companionship is that relationship with the spirit that created you, with the creator that created you, that relationship, that companionship. You can also call it direction. Spiritual direction, a life rooted in spiritual, you could call it spiritual connection. You could call it anything that is the relationship you have with your higher power, whatever you call the thing itself. That life rooted in that relationship, in that, celebrates the value of curiosity. That thing that created, that God, that spirit is unlimited and eternal. It's forever and ever. And if it's unlimited, if it's infinite, we don't have time for complacency if we want to have a relationship that lives out loud with this creator. We don't want to settle. Have you ever been in a relationship where you just kind of settle for what is? We don't have to do that. In fact, spirit, I imagine that would be very boring for spirit. I think the conversation would be kind of like, God's like, well, I guess that's all they want to know about me. Well, fine, I guess I'll just hang out. But when we're curious, when we inquire, when we open, when we expect, when we live in that expectancy of more, wouldn't you think that would be the most delighted spirit could ever be? I think so. Curious and its cousin, inquisitive. They're cousins. They originate in Latin in the 1300s and could move in two different directions. Curious, this is the way it is, expresses the desire to know, learn, and explore. Inquisitive articulates the effort to discover by inquiry. So we don't just get to be inquisitive. This is an action. This is a practice of action because you actually have to inquire. You have to have a question. You have to have a question. So basically, the question would be, for me, when I'm in that fear of the unknown, right? Then I'm going to check in with myself. I'm going to be like, ooh, uncomfortable. And then I'm going to move into curiosity. I'm going to move into curiosity and I'm going to be inquisitive. I'm going to ask a question. And the question we raised last week was, what am I afraid of? What's in front of me that I'm afraid of? And then be open to hearing and to listening. The other thing we can do, when we're with someone new or someone different, appearing different, is we can ask questions. If you're in a situation where you're in a room where you're looking at world religions and there are people there representing different religions, it would not be to hold on to ours that we know so well, would it? It would be to step outside that for a minute, step outside what we already know, what we're trained at, and be open to asking, so what's your take on this? What is your faith tradition? What is the belief system, the structure of your spiritual community, of your religion? And I have to say, studying world religions in seminary was my favorite. Well, science, then world religions. Science, of course, always first, but world religion, what happened to me when I studied world religions is a lot of my fear dissipated. And not only did my fear dissipate, but this idea of curiosity, if we recollect last year's theme that I loved so much of living everyday wonder, curiosity is synonymous with awe. So we've been living in awe. So when I learned, for example, about Islam, I was just coming out of 9/11 and I was just saturated with propaganda. I don't know how you felt at that time, but there was so much fear of different. And when I studied Islam, that took me into Sufism and the wonder and the awe of the 5 pillars of Islam and the Quran and the beauty of that religion. And my fear changed completely into awe. And that doesn't mean that there aren't people, groups in each teaching, in each religion, in each worldview who take a literal meaning to that scripture and create an interpretation far beyond wildest imaginings and possibly misinterpretation, creating violence and wars and things never did the prophets ever mean to happen. Nor does God want us at war. And so this idea for me of curiosity, inquisitiveness, and inquiry, and then towards curiosity, and then a brand new way of looking at things is a spiritual practice. It is the evolution of our souls to be curious and to know more God, to know more of that is love and principle, light, abundance, all that is good, all that is good. And curiosity and wonder are the keys to the kingdom for a rich and rewarding life. Albert Einstein says this: one cannot help but be in awe when one contemplates the mysteries of eternity, of life, of the marvelous structure of reality. It's enough if one tries merely to comprehend a little of this mystery every day. Never lose a holy curiosity. This is Albert Einstein. Never lose a holy curiosity. This idea of spiritual curiosity as a practice, as a daily practice, is this holy curiosity. Spirit, what is your idea of itself as what I must know today? Spirit, right here and right now in this situation, circumstance, and condition, what would you have me know? How would you have me grow? How would you have me grow by what you would like me to know? This is the spiritual curiosity. The Baha'i faith, you're familiar with the Baha'i faith? This comes from the Baha'i faith, which is a very mystical faith that uses poetry in the language of scripture. Baha'i teachings are so poetic, so poetic. They say each must see with his own eyes. We could say our own eyes. Hear with our own ears and investigate the truth itself in order that we may follow the truth instead of blind acquiescence and imitation of ancestral beliefs. We need to get going, move forward. All scripture is organic. It wants us to investigate. Does it work for today? What do we need more of following and interpreting this scripture that will work for us today? Because it always works. But how does it translate? How does it translate? This is really exciting, these ideas. And I have to say, I'm not happy when I'm in condemnation. I don't feel good. Condemnation lives in my body as a dis-ease. When I go that far that I'm condemning, I have passed judgment, I have passed discernment, and I have made a decision to fall into condemnation, which does not feel good in my body and does not feel good in my mind and doesn't feel good in my heart. I think I woke up the other day and I had this feeling that I swallowed lead. I wrote a poem about it. You know, I woke up this morning like I ate lead. And that's what condemnation feels for me. And when I get into that place of fear where I don't want to do anything about it, I don't want to have to, and you can't make me. You cannot make me get along. You cannot make me see it your way. You cannot make me change my mind. I am not changing my mind. I'm going to sit in this discomfort. I'm not in my comfort zone. I have taken an elevator down to discomfort. And I do that. Anyone else do that? You know, right now I'm trying to open to the Philadelphia Eagles. I'm trying. I'm opening. Patricia says, no. Well, honey, you're from Kansas. You're from Kansas. We're from the Chiefs. We're from Mahomes. Come on. Woohoo. I'm sorry, everyone who's listening who might be offended by that. Again, Just ask me. Let's understand each other. Well, I would tell you how hurt I am over the game with the Niners and the Philadelphia Eagles and how violent I thought that game was. Yes. Anyway, brain research offers evidence that the trait of curiosity, especially when acted upon over a lifetime, contributes to both brain health and resistance to early onset dementia. How about curiosity as a healthy practice, as a health regime? Wouldn't that be a good idea? Curiosity can result in new friendships because we can make friends with people that we learn to understand. We didn't like them at first, didn't like that person when they walked in the room, and then you start having conversations, you start inquiring, you start opening your mind, and suddenly you find all this common ground, or no common ground at all, just an openness and a love for one another. Just a commitment and an agreement to get along and be friends. From fear of who the heck are you and you're different to, hey, let's find our commonality. Let's find things that we have to share with one another. And wouldn't that be the way we want to be as a spiritual community? We want to be curious. We want to have a practice of curiosity that welcomes everyone. When we're talking about everyone, we mean everyone, not people who, come and see where each of us are sitting in our comfort zone and have to figure out which zone they belong in. Our sanctuary is going to be our comfort zone. Isn't that a beautiful idea? Our sanctuary and our principles in our teaching is where we agree to have a spiritual practice of curiosity. There is room at the table for everyone. And at the table, we want to serve curiosity. We want to serve as our entree, curiosity and inquisitiveness, so that we can learn from each other by listening as we tell our stories. Wow, that is the absolute fastest way to learn. Curiosity also keeps me humble. And I have a big ego. And humble, that humble pie, always on my menu. The ultimate purpose of education is to recognize realities, work towards unity, and experience fellowship with all people. This reminded me a lot of, I posted this on Facebook actually, a quote from T.H. White that said, "Grief and everything that came along with the pandemic took me on a path of sadness and compassion burnout." I have to honestly tell you that after 1 million people and 2 million and so many million people were dying of COVID, I couldn't feel after a while. I had compassionate burnout. I had so much grief. I was coming out of a 45-year marriage as a new widow, right into the pandemic. And I just really fell into a sense of numbness. Do you remember that? Do you remember for yourself? I can't wrap my mind around this. I can't take this all in. And what did I do? What did I do to pull myself out of that? What titillated me? What did I get excited about? What inspired me? Learning something new. We went virtual. What is Zoom? What do I do? How do I do that? How do I get this light on my face? Can you hear me now? We learned something new. And then while we were learning something new, we decided to teach classes on Zoom. And then we decided we're going to teach classes that we'd never taught before. And we were all learning something new. And it was so healing, so exciting. This idea that being in curiosity, being in inquiry and learning as a practice, as a health benefit, as a way to feel good and happy works. This works. What's so wonderful about this research is that I didn't articulate it. I hadn't articulated all of this. I hadn't really looked at it in the forefront of my mind where the focus is. In the forefront of my mind is where my focus happens. And when I focus on something, I collapse it into an experience of it. It literally becomes something that I experience organically and viscerally. Like I literally got happy. But I didn't really know until I started studying the idea of curiosity what the mechanism was that got me there. So that once I have that intellect, once I have that knowledge, once I have that wisdom, the wisdom is after you've experienced it and you have a personal experience of it, that becomes wisdom. Once I know this anatomy of curiosity, I'm going to want to make it a practice. I'm going to want to make it something that I actually give attention to regularly. And I think this will help me to be more open and less afraid of different. Be more open to and less afraid of different. Does this make sense? Being curious is admitting that I don't know, but also that I want to know. Being curious is admitting that I don't know and that I want to know. And I often I've skipped over that part because wanting to know means I'm wanting to get out of my comfort zone. And that is not a natural thing. I have to move into wanting to know. I have to move out of the unknown into curiosity. And listen to this. If we approach it this way, we bring down what we have fearfully walled out. In other words, from curiosity, our walls come down, our shields come down, our defenses come down. And wouldn't it be an amazing spiritual life to have our walls down, our defenses down, and our heart open? Wow. And you know what? That's a hero's journey. That is no small task. That is not a small life. That is a big life. I believe God is calling us to be curious, and I'll tell you why. God, Spirit, the divine mind, the ultimate life, whatever you want to call that is. Call it love. It's infinite. It wants us to express it as our experience. It wants us to love more and feel love more. It wants us to use the intelligence of the one mind, way beyond what we can know as human beings. It wants us to use its unlimited principles, its unlimited essence, its unlimited talents. It wants us to be curious. That is the logical understanding of curiosity. Wouldn't you say that as a spiritual practice, we're asking, What is God's idea of itself as this question? What is God's idea of itself as our spiritual center and where we belong in a building? Where is God's idea of itself as my health? What is God's idea of itself as this friendship I'm having? What about God's idea of itself as the relationship of my dreams that I really want to have? Or the vocation? Being curious allows us to be more objective in viewing our responses, in our thinking, doing, and feeling. And you know me, I am all about mastering response. And that means, yep, I've got to go from fear to reaction to curiosity to inquiry to inquisitive to finally getting to creative over that which I'm afraid of. So it also supports me in not shutting down. Do you ever have something happen to you and it's just doesn't match anything that's right in your world? Any of your preconceived notions, any of your rules, any of your, your list of this is the way it should be. It doesn't match anything like that. And you just shut down. Has that ever happened? You just shut down. I'm done. And, curiosity keeps that door open. And it's okay if we shut down and then realize we've shut down and get back into the spiritual practice of curiosity. It's okay. It's okay to be who we are, always. But to be more objective, to be less reactive, and to be more responsive, wouldn't that be a wonderful way to live? Isn't it wonderful to surround ourselves with people that are easy to get along with? Or to do the things we just love doing? Those things that just, we're good at. Is that the life we really want? Does that really get us anywhere? Well, it sure is nice. And it sure is fun not to have an upset, not to be constantly in inquiry. I think that would be too exhaustive for us, wouldn't it? But when we're not feeling so good, when in our body we're having a dis-ease, when something's not right, when something is off, okay? When something is off, that's when we want to think, what about that spiritual practice of curiosity? And just start out with, what am I afraid of? And if we don't want to think about fear first, we can just figure, what is this feeling I'm having? We can use the spiritual tool of journaling. What is this feeling I have that makes me uncomfortable, makes me feel uncomfortable? Again, like I said last week, see a practitioner. What is that thing that is just not working for me in my body, in my mind, in my heart, in my bank account, in my relationship, and so on and so on. Being curious works not only in our spiritual inner work, but at all intersections with others and the world. Can you imagine? Can you imagine if you just got the key to the kingdom? How to get along in the world? Spiritual curiosity. I wonder if God first experienced holy curiosity when entering the world and saying, let there be light. What else can we have? Was that spiritual curiosity? Well, let's make a human. Can holy curiosity lead us to love and accept those differences from us when we ask the question, get to know them instead, and quickly get away from judgment and condemnation? Holy curiosity leads to wisdom. And so here's the practice. Here's the practice. I'm going to practice being curious more often. First, you have to have that agreement. Anyone have that agreement? Kind of, I want to do that. I want to, I will, I am going, I am practicing being curious more often. How's that? That's a gift. If nothing else you get out of this talk today is to take that new way of being and make your life bigger. Make your spiritual life bigger, more expansive. Second, number two is less judging, more wondering. Less judging, more wondering. I'm wondering. Instead of that, I wonder what good things I can see in the Philadelphia Eagles today. I'm going to look for positive, curious experiences with the game today. And the next, less jumping to conclusions and more listening and asking questions. Jumping to conclusions. Who is a high jumper? Who has won the state championship for jumping to conclusion? Oh my goodness. I've got a parachute. I jump so high, I need a parachute. Here's the next one. Here's the next one. Less criticism and more wonder, awe, and beholding the marvel of life. Remember our theme last year? I still love it. I brought it with us into 2023, living everyday wonder. Less criticism. That's huge. Less criticism, more wonder, more awe, more beholding of the marvel of life. And last, how would this practice bring you closer to God? How would this practice bring you closer to God? The other thing I want to leave you with, this is a hero's journey. Don't think it isn't. When I say be curious, I'm saying recognize the importance of your life, because if you don't share your gifts, they'll never be shared in your way. And to share your gifts, you got to have your shields down and your heart open. Am I right? And here's the thing. Be courageously curious. Courageously curious. Don't think for a minute that being curious and jumping into the unknown is natural for the human being. That is not how we're wired. That is the spiritual human being that wants to do that. That is the spiritual human being, the evolution of the soul that is the courageous one. That is the courageous one. The soul is what goes from life into the next, into the next, into the next. That soul, that life is everlasting, infinite. That soul is the courageous life. And we house that soul in a very tender and vulnerable body. Being courageously curious is the reality. Give yourself a pat on the back every time you want to do it. Every time you do it. Every time you ask a question or get into a difficult conversation and let down all the defenses, all the preconceived notions, and ask, what is your experience right now? How do you see this? What would you like to tell me? What do I need to know from you? This idea means that we don't dip our toe in the river and get caught in the resistance that the rocky bank brings. What do? We allow ourselves to be carried by the current. We are in the flow. This inquiring mind wants to flow. Let us pray. Wow. Spirit is in the house. Spirit creates everything, including this technology that allows us not only to be together now, but to be together always as this archives for us to look at. The technology of our website, the technology is all Spirit's idea of itself. The one mind, the intelligent mind, the one life is our life. We access it. We tune into it. We inquire. We're curious about it. And from it, we create everything, just as Spirit creates all life out of itself. And so this beautiful wonder, this awe, this life is my life. It's the life of each of us. And it is amazing and joy-filled. And no matter what it looks like, the truth with a capital T, the truth is God. God is truth. Spirit is truth. Love is truth. Light is truth. Abundance is truth. Truth is synonymous with the Holy Spirit. And the holy curiosity that we talk about is to tune in and be able to download from that infinite life, that life that we want to experience. Not only that, but that life of each other that we want to experience. The connection, the belonging, the spiritual community that we're building is for that very reason, is to connect with each other, to be in that spiritual practice of principle and love and light, and bringing more people into a safe place where we can be courageously curious. Wow. Oh, wow. This is awe. This is awe. And this is possible in every moment. All it takes is focus. All it takes is for us to observe, for us to realize, for us to recognize, for us to unify, and for us to declare it into our experience. And so I do bring in the world of effects that is all around us. Yes, there was an earthquake that will be remembered forever. There is people from all over the world coming together to help our brothers and sisters in Syria and Turkey. There is a heightening of curiosity as we look at February as Black History Month. So that why? So that we can learn from our brothers and sisters what we don't know. So that we can feel connected. So we can feel a sense of belonging to the human race. What do you want to know from me, and what can I know from you, and what can we do to lift each other up? That is my prayer. Love is my prayer. I am so grateful for my community as we touch everyone in the world with our courageous life together. And so I release my word into the prayer, into the law, knowing that my prayer has already happened. That's the way it works. We don't have to wait for abundance. If we recognize it, if it is good for all, if we have a conviction about it, it happens instantly. That is the way Spirit works. And Spirit's delight is that we are curious, curiouser, and curiouser. And so I release my word. The law says yes, we let it be so. And together we say, and so it is.
So we're all going to rise together. This is my song for those anxious days. These days I've been having trouble waking up. I'd rather stay asleep than try to believe in a higher love. I think I'm fooling everybody else. I say that I know that I'm loved, but I don't, 'cause I'm still punishing myself. You see, I've been holding it in, this brilliant light. They told me it was intimidating, so I've been keeping it inside. But when I woke up this morning, I realized that something this bright is destined to rise. So I gotta rise. I'm gonna rise up from my bed, get into my body and out of my head. I'm letting go of holding on to the notion that something's always wrong. I'm incredible, it's beautiful, this life that I live. So I'm gonna hold my head high like the queen that I am, living my life for the wonder that it is. These days I've been having trouble getting mine. Stuck still in a tiny bubble, just watching my life roll by. I get anxious, I'm afraid of everyone else. But to be honest, it just gets worse when I'm alone with myself. You see, I've been holding it back, this power inside. Too scared to act, so I live in my mind. But now I see power is in my nature, just like day comes after night. Naturally, I gotta rise, I gotta rise. So I'm gonna rise up from my bed, get into my body and out of my head. I'm letting go of holding on to the notion that something's always wrong. I'm incredible, it's beautiful, this life that I live. So I'm gonna hold my head high like the queen that I am, living my life for the wonder that it is. Let's take it into the body. Here we go. It ain't enough to just believe. Living life is a physical kind of spirituality. It ain't just in the movement of your mind, it's the movement of your feet. It's in the steps that you take. It's the body of life. It's the love that you make. It's the way that you rise. So I'm gonna rise up from my bed, get into my body and out of my head. I'm letting go of holding on to the notion that something is wrong. I'm gonna rise up from my bed, get into my body and out of my head. I'm letting go of holding on to the notion that something's always wrong. I'm incredible, it's beautiful, this life that I live. We're incredible, it's beautiful, this life that we live. I'm incredible, it's beautiful, this life that we live. So I'm gonna hold my head high like the queen that I am. Are you gonna hold your head high like the king or queen you are? So I'm gonna hold my head high, hold my head high, hold my head high, hold my head high, hold my head high like the queen that I am, living my life for the wonder that it is.
Sorry, I just had to bring myself back. What a beautiful song. And it is through this place of wonder, from this place of curiosity, that we receive. And in order to receive, we also have to give. It is this giving and this taking with this curiosity and inquisitive mind that we grow and we expand, not only in ourselves, but as our center, as the center, Sacramento Center for Spiritual Living. And so in this giving and this receiving, we are now in our giving mode, our giving of our financial abundance. For as we give and receive, it is a spiritual practice, a sacred practice of being in service. And as we give to our center for spiritual living, it supports our vision, our mission, our purpose, but it also supports ourselves. So as we give to the center, we are also giving to ourselves. So it's that giving and receiving. It is a sacred service, right? And there are so many ways that we can give. We just go to our website where you'll find our mailing address if you choose to give a check, or you can just go to the donate button, click the menu for donate, of course, and we can either go PayPal, credit card, or even debit card. Any way that you choose to give, it's there. There's no barriers there. And we do appreciate, because again, we get to receive in ourselves as we give, because it is a tax deductible contribution on our income tax. So we get to receive again. And so as we stay muted, let's read together our abundance affirmation. Abiding by the law of circulation and in heartfelt gratitude, I affirm that I live in a creative and abundant universe that continuously flows in, through, and out as me, expressing as the ever-expanding infinite good. And so it is. Now for our prayer request piece. Now, you can go on our website, and it's a beautiful website, saccsl.org, and you can submit a prayer request that will be received by our leadership, by our ministers, by our practitioners, where it will be prayed upon on our altars all week long. And that is a sacred practice. Be open to being vulnerable, to give your prayer requests to where it would be held in love, in sacred service. And now I turn it over to our beautiful Patricia Van Wickham.
Hello, it's news time. The first announcement, as always, is that we are in person and on YouTube Live on the first, third, and fifth Sundays, which means next Sunday, at the Citrus Heights Community Center. We are always on YouTube Live. So whether you can be with us or not, whether we're in person or not, you can always be with us through YouTube. And we really appreciate our YouTube community, which is growing by leaps and bounds. It's really exciting to be able to have that growth. And we're growing in person. So come join us next Sunday at the Citrus Heights Community Center. If you want to know what we're doing, go to our website, saccsl.org. It has our ongoing events. It has a link to the YouTube Live, and it has 3 years of archives of our talks. So surely we've said something somewhere in time that is just waiting for you to hear. So do check us out, whether it's the ongoing events or not. This is the screen you're going to see when you go onto our homepage where it says YouTube Live. When we are live, that's a live link. On the right-hand side is the YouTube channel, and that's where you get to our archives. So it's easy to find us through our website, also through our live events. And our live event, the next one coming up, actually before the annual meeting, is tomorrow. We're meeting at the Annex for Warm Hearts, Busy Hands. So if you want to bring your any craft, painting rocks, crocheting, whatever you want to do, or just bring yourself for the Warm Hearts part, that would be wonderful. The event after that is Sunday, March 5th, which is the first Sunday in March. We will be live at the community center. It is our annual meeting, which is when we get together and review and look back at what we have done. And then we get together and look at what we're going to be doing. So it's electing new board members, looking at the budget, looking at the goals that we've set for the coming year, and kind of assessing how well we've met our goals from the year before. This is a wonderful way to connect with your community from a different way than the Sunday service. It's a wonderful way of knowing that you're part of an organization. So please join us. You don't have to be a member to come to the annual meeting. We invite everyone to come to the annual meeting and bring your potluck, and we'll just have a good time. March 19th, which is the third Sunday in March, is when the current Rise and Speak class is going to be doing their presentations. Now, Reverend Sharon talked about our stories and being curious. Humans are story-making creatures. That's what we do. We take the events in our life and we create stories out of them. So if you want to know a little more about some of the people in our community, there's 8 of us in the class, all of us are part of this community. Come hear our stories. You may know the facts, but there's a whole lot more that's going on behind those facts with the people that you know. And come learn more about us, how we have met our challenges, what we've learned from them, and what we have to share. Because as Reverend Sharon said, we're all here to express who we are. And this is a wonderful way of learning more about who we are as individuals. I believe that's the end of the announcements. So I will give it back to Linda.
And our gift to you this week is the affirmation of I am expressing my divine calling right here, right now. Say it with feeling. And now for our closing benediction. As we breathe in and embrace the message that we received today, this message of our spiritual practice of a curious mind, being spiritually curious. That is such a beautiful way to wake up during the day. As the song says, that we rise up. So let's rise up with our spiritual curiosity this week, embracing and connecting to the perfection of each moment, the perfection in each person, being curious about all those that we encounter throughout our week. And for this, I give such great thanks for this service today, for the music, for the message, and for each and every person that is listening now or will be listening in the future via YouTube. And with that, I give thanks, and so it is.
Love be with you.
You.
Love be with you. Peace enfold you. Spirit lift you. Breathe it in. Truth come through you. Make good flow to you. And let joy renew you till we meet again. Love be with you.
With you.
Love be with you. Sing that with me. Ooh,
Love be with you.
Ooh, love be with you. Love be with you. Peace enfold you. Spirit lift you. Breathe it in. Truth come through you. Make good flow to you. And let joy renew you till we meet again. Love be with you. Ooh, 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 love be with you. I love you all.
Love you, Gary. And now for our fellowship. How wonderful. And remember, when we're on fellowship, it's not recorded. So you can say anything you want.
I got to go to his concert last weekend. It was great.
Oh, that's awesome.